Hi there, and welcome back to rLounge. There are many ways to define what it means to be a good person. Being a good person doesn't depend on your religion, your status in life, your race, or your skin color. Being a good person always depends on how you treat others. Today, we learned that being a good person also means not pressing charges and just trying to get to work on time. Up first, one ring to rule them all, or to get someone arrested. Entitled ex-girlfriend wants the engagement ring I never gave her because she broke up with me before I could propose. Gets arrested for her troubles. A while back, I was dating this girl for roughly 2 years. I thought things were going great, but apparently she was just dating me because she liked to tell people she was in a relationship. No, that's how it went with her. The way she described me was, too immature, decent in bed, and honestly not worth the rest of my life. Exact words she said to a friend of hers after we broke up. Anywho, I'm getting ahead of myself. I went out and bought a ring. Had this entire thing planned out to propose her. However, she was suddenly not available for several weeks in a row. Well, my fears rang true as she suddenly showed up at my place one day. She acted like everything was normal as we talked, and she was grabbing everything that was hers. About halfway through, I just kind of looked at her and said, "Don't forget your hairdryer. It would be awkward to have to come back over after you dump me." This sparked a long and awkward conversation where she was fake crying. I had realized right then and there that I was an idiot. The way she acted, the way she spoke, and the way she treated me just screamed that she did not care. I was devastated, but seeing her made me angry. I had realized she was lying to me this entire time. About a month later, a friend of hers called me up, asked if she could come over to talk. I asked why. She said my ex pissed her off and she wanted to tell me some things. My mind goes to horrifying things like she needs to warn me I need to see a doctor or things like that. Well, her friend came over and we chatted for a while. See, her friend was beyond pissed off. Talking ending the relationship pissed off at her. So, her way to get back at her friend was to sleep with her ex-boyfriend. Me being in my mental state, I said yes. More like I said, sure, yeah, we can do that if you really want to. So, she ends up staying over for a few days as we get to talking about my ex. I tell her about the ring, and she had the best idea to get back at my ex. Let's lay down in bed and post a pic of ourselves with the ring in between us. Yeah, I thought it was a terrible idea, but I wanted my ex to feel like crap, so, well, there you go. Not even 2 hours later, my ex was at the door. We posted the picture at like 11 a.m., and she was at my place at 12:40 something. Right off the bat, she tried to act like breaking up with me was a mistake. She said that I was the best boyfriend she ever had, and she was getting scared with how serious things were getting. She said she made a terrible mistake in breaking up with me. Well, her friend immediately goes into a rant about my ex, saying that she was manipulative and that neither of us would believe this sob story she was giving. Gotta say, I'm very glad her friend was there because my stupid butt was believing my ex. I reminded her of how she treated me when she broke up and that she should go home. She was wasting her time. Well, now she brought up the ring. Said she owned it under the law. Said that rings are gifts and that I cannot take it back. In unison, me and her friend said that I never gave it to her. We both looked at each other and laughed a bit as the absurdity of the situation was getting outrageous. She said she was owed that ring and that she was not leaving without it. At about this time, a police officer came up the stairs wanting to know what the trouble was. I guess we made enough noise that neighbors called the police. The female officer asked what the situation was. Everyone tried to talk at once, and the officer shut us down. Pointed to my ex and asked her what the problem was. She said she was trying to pick up her stuff after we broke up. She asked me if it were true. I explained the situation, how my ex broke up with me before I had the chance to propose, and that she was never given the ring. Throughout the conversation, 2 more officers showed up, one a supervisor. The whole story was explained like 4 times. At one point, my ex said that the money from the ring will let her pay off her car. Ever see a moment when someone says something so outrageous that everyone looks at them in utter disgust? I responded with that the ring isn't expensive. It was bought used off of a website, and I reminded her that I am an IT tech, so this wasn't a ring that was 10 to 12K, more like 1 to 1.5. The anger and rage that came over her face was immediately apparent to everyone. She stepped forward and punched me in the chest and kicked at me before being tackled to the ground by the female officer. The supervisor on scene told us to go inside while they get her under control. We did, and about 10 minutes later they came back. They wanted my statement. I told them I didn't want to press charges against her, but they said, "Yeah, it doesn't work like that. We saw it. so it's being processed. She ended up getting a misdemeanor offense for it. The community has these reactions. First up, Lady Ellie 119. Also, engagement rings are the legal exception to the gift rule. In most places, it's a gift in contemplation of marriage. She would have had to give it back anyways. Sammy Hammy 24 said she owned it under the law, said that rings are gifts and that I cannot take it back. That's hilarious. 1. You never got engaged. 2. You never gave her the ring. 3. And most importantly, even if you had given her the ring and she then broke up with you, legally she would have to return it. An engagement ring is given as a token in promise of marriage. If the marriage does not happen, she has to return the ring anyway. You dodged a greedy bullet there. One more quick comment from BeckYD302002. Always press charges. That way the perp might learn their lesson. Wow, OP. She sounds absolutely delusional. It's unfortunate that she came around once she saw that you actually had purchased a ring for more than one reason. That's such disgusting behavior, and by doing that, she totally revealed her true colors. She thinks she's entitled to crap that she doesn't deserve. And you're not stupid for nearly falling back into that rabbit hole. When you go through a devastating experience like being broken up with, or cheated on, or betrayed, and left by someone you thought was going to be your other half for the rest of your life, it can be uprooting to everything in your world, shaking the foundation of what you want, how you feel about yourself and the future. The wounds were still fresh, OP, and you can't blame yourself for that. But yes, like you said, thank God her friend was there. And so you slept together? Who cares? At least you both were able to get your aggressions out about the same person with each other. I feel like that's healthier than keying a car or lighting their stuff on fire. Anyways, I'm happy you got out of that one. Here's to someone better entering your life. Someone who deserves that ring. What are your thoughts on engagement rings or wedding bands after a breakup or divorce? Up next, this woman never learned to pick on people her own size. Entitled lady tries to challenge a semi with her vehicle. I always thought that a lot of these entitled people stories in this thread are false and made up. Today, I was proven wrong. Entitled people do exist. So I drive a semi for a living, delivering pallets of merchandise to local stores. Local roads aren't easy to maneuver with 18-wheelers, so oftentimes I took up a lot of space whenever I tried to make a turn. Most drivers are nice and understanding though, and they usually move out of the way, back up, and give me some room without hesitation. Or some even drove out of their corner street parking spot and parked in another spot, just so I can use their space to make a tight turn. Lots of nice drivers. However, today I met the rare, unsung hero that made this story possible. This morning, I was driving on a single lane, two-way road, and I needed to make a right turn at the end of the street so I can make it to my first delivery, which is a couple yards away from the T-junction. The T-junction has a stop sign only for my lane, so it's quite a dangerous turn since the incoming traffic doesn't need to stop. The street I'm turning into is a double-lane, two-way road, but there's construction at the corner of the road, occupying the right lane. That means I have to swing wide, taking up the left lane of the other way, so I don't cause an accident on the construction zone. As soon as I saw that both ways were clear, I made the turn carefully. Some vehicles came last minute from the other way, but they saw the construction, so they understood, and all of them moved to their right lane, giving me space. All but one. This lady came up from the other way to the front of my truck before I finished making the turn, forcing me to perform sudden braking, which she does as well. Then she was pressing hard on her horn. Then she was yelling something that I couldn't understand, mostly because she was still honking, but also because our windows are rolled up. She's inching closer to my truck that's on standstill while gesturing me to move out of the way. Her turn signal is on, indicating that she's about to turn left. I gestured to her as well, shrugging my shoulders, making sure she knows, like, what am I supposed to do? I can't back up. There's another truck behind me, waiting for me to finish making my turn. If I back up, I will hit the truck with my trailer tail. Mind you, it only takes me a few seconds to complete the turn, and there's no cars behind her because apparently other drivers understood to at least give a truck some space to finish a turn, especially when the roads are tight. I also saw some vehicles turning behind me from their right lane, so there's no excuse that this Karen of a driver can't do the same. By now, she was honking probably for a full minute, refusing to reverse. This caught the attention of the construction workers. Also, this causes a traffic jam from the left side of the T-junction and also behind me. People were furious, and she wouldn't move. One of the construction workers told the lady to just move back and give me some room to finish my turn, but she wouldn't budge. She just yelled something at him while still pressing on her horn. After a while, I had enough of her, released my brakes, and started to inch closer towards her. I had no intention to cause any damage, just hoping that she would get scared by my threat and move back. What do you know? It worked. Her eyes widened, she panicked for a bit, switched her gear shift to reverse, and started moving backwards. I didn't give her any room to move forward again, just kept inching forward while she's moving backward, until I saw that my trailer is safe to finish the turn. Then, I'm back to my own lane. Karen gave me a death glare, but I did the same to her. I also stick my tongue out at her because, why not? Then, the most hilarious thing happens. From my side mirror, I saw the construction workers clapping and cheering for me. Also, the truck behind me also made their turn, giving Karen no space to move forward again. Then, the vehicles on the left side of the T-junction just kept going, not letting Karen make her turn. It was glorious. I made it to my delivery about 5 minutes late, but it was totally worth it. We've got a reaction from Twisted Tomorrow. If she's stupid enough to play chicken with a semi, I have to wonder how she made it to adulthood. Top Desert Ace says, reminds me of an incident in my hometown a couple years ago where someone tried to brake check a semi on the highway. You can guess how that turned out. Groovy Mama 98 says, I just love that you stuck your tongue out at her. We all know from childhood that that's how you really put someone in their place. Two Plastic Lobsters has this to say. I did something like this as a novice driver. At first I assumed the semi-driver was just being rude and selfish. Then I noticed the size of the truck relative to the street and caught on. They really should have mentioned this sort of thing in driver's ed. How an adult and presumably experienced driver thinks crap like this is a good idea baffles me. Yes, OP. Sometimes we have to put people in their place. I honestly don't know where these people come from or who they think they are. And they put themselves and other people in danger over stupid things like this. It doesn't take much to be a good person. I feel like it's harder to be a bad person these days. It's as though people go out of their way to make other people's lives miserable. Thank you for your good deed of the day, OP. You're a hero to us all. Tell us your good deeds against Karens in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content, share that with us in the comments below too. Until next time.